All right, let's dive right in.
Yeah.
Vocabulary time. We're tackling the Oxford 5000 today.
Ooh, nice.
And specifically words 31 through 60 from Group 2. These are really great for intermediate learners.
Yeah.
The kind of words that can really help you level up your fluency.
Yeah.
So, ready to unlock some serious English power.
Absolutely. Yeah. Think of these words as like building blocks, right?
Yeah.
Each one adding a layer of sophistication to how you communicate.
Okay, love it. So first up is acid. It's a noun, obviously. But what I think is really cool about this word is that it goes way beyond just like simple chemistry.
It does, yeah. I mean, an acid is definitely like that sour chemical that you think of
Right.
in lemon juice or vinegar.
Yeah.
But think about phrases like an acid tongue or acid jazz. The word has taken on these like
Oh, yeah?
metaphorical meanings of like sharpness and intensity.
Yeah, totally.
So it's kind of cool.
I love that.
Right.
Okay, so to give you some concrete examples, be careful handling that battery acid. It can really burn.
Oh, for sure.
Then there's like the environmental issue, like acid rain has damaged many historic buildings. And then kind of more figuratively, the politician's speech was full of acid remarks about their opponent.
Spot on, yeah. And using it in that figurative way, I mean, it really shows a deeper understanding
Totally.
of the word. Okay, let's move on to acquisition. Another noun.
Okay.
This one refers to the process of obtaining something and not just like, material possessions.
Right. Okay. So it could be like a company saying, our latest acquisition is a promising tech startup.
Yeah.
Or thinking about language learning. Immersion is key for rapid language acquisition. And then something a little more everyday. My latest book acquisition is a biography of Marie Curie.
Perfect examples. Now, how about a word that measures something a little more tangible, shall we say? Acre.
Okay.
It's a unit of land area. But it's interesting to consider its historical roots.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
Okay, so I'm picturing a farm here. The family farm spanned over 200 acres of rolling hills.
Exactly. Or maybe the developer purchased a 10-acre plot for a new shopping center.
Yeah.
But then to bring it to city life, like in a dense city, even a small rooftop garden can feel like an acre of peace.
Ooh, I love that. Those examples really paint a picture.
Yeah.
Okay, let's shift gears a little bit to verbs now, starting with activate.
Ooh, okay, activate. So that means to like make something start working or to switch it on. Yeah.
Exactly.
So like to activate your new phone, just follow the on-screen instructions. Or thinking about health, regular exercise activates your muscles and improves circulation.
Yes.
And one more. The security guard activated the alarm when they noticed a broken window.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And naturally, we have the noun form activation,
Oh.
which refers to the process of making something active.
Right. So the software requires online activation before you can use it.
Exactly.
Or the doctor explained that nerve activation is essential for muscle movement.
And maybe a little more relatable, the long queue meant a frustrating delay in the ride's activation at the amusement park.
Oh, I've been there. Okay, great examples. Let's move on to someone who takes action. Activist.
Oh, yeah, an activist. So someone who, passionately fights for a cause.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, we see this all the time. The environmental activists chain themselves to the tree to prevent its removal.
Powerful image.
Right. Or the human rights activists spoke out against the oppressive regime. And then, on a smaller scale, the student activist organized a protest against school budget cuts.
Great examples. And sometimes those situations can get quite acute, which is our next word, an adjective.
Okay, acute.
Meaning intense or sharp.
Right. So we could say the patient was experiencing acute pain after the surgery.
Yes.
Or thinking about the senses, like the detective had an acute sense of hearing, picking up the faintest sounds.
Oh, wow.
And then bringing it to the business world. The company faced an acute shortage of supplies due to the global pandemic.
Precisely. Now, how about we talk about adaptation, a noun,
Okay.
referring to the process of changing to fit new circumstances.
Yeah, so this word is all about adjusting,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
So we had that classic example. Darwin's theory of evolution is based on the idea of natural selection and adaptation.
Yes.
Or, in the world of literature, the film adaptation of the novel received mixed reviews, and then to bring it to personal experience, moving to a new city requires a period of adaptation.
Very well explained. Now, for a word that's unfortunately quite relevant today, addiction. It's a noun. And it describes a compulsive need for a substance or behavior.
Right. So, for example, the documentary explored the devastating impact of opioid addiction.
Yeah.
Or, more broadly, social media addiction is becoming a growing concern among teenagers.
For sure.
And then a less severe one, but still relatable, like, my friend has a serious chocolate addiction.
You know, it's important to understand the seriousness of that word, but let's lighten things up a little bit now and talk about a very helpful adverb. Additionally.
Ooh, okay. Additionally. So that basically means like also or in addition to.
Exactly.
Right. Okay. So we could say the hotel offers complimentary breakfast. Additionally, guests have access to the fitness center. Or, thinking about skills, she's fluent in 3 languages. Additionally, she's learning sign language.
Wow.
And one more. For this recipe, you'll need flour, sugar, and eggs. Additionally, a pinch of salt enhances the flavor.
Those are great examples. Now let's consider a word that kind of assesses something's suitability. Adequate.
Okay, adequate.
It's an adjective, and it means sufficient or acceptable.
Okay, so we might say, the school provided adequate resources for students with disabilities.
Yeah.
Or, in a performance review, your work has been adequate, but there's room for improvement.
Right.
And one more. Make sure you have adequate lighting for studying to avoid eye strain.
Perfect examples. And of course, we have the adverb form adequately.
Adequately, which means sufficiently or in a satisfactory manner.
Yes.
Right. Okay, like the witness was able to adequately describe the suspect to the police. Or the company was not adequately prepared for the economic downturn.
Yeah.
And for a little humor, despite my best efforts, I was not adequately caffeinated for this early morning meeting.
I feel that one. All right, moving on to a word that implies sticking to something. Adhere, a verb.
Oh, okay. Adhere.
Yeah.
So this can be literal or figurative.
It can, absolutely.
Yeah. So we have examples like make sure the bandage adheres firmly to the wound. Or in a professional context, it's crucial to adhere to safety regulations in the laboratory.
Yeah.
And something we can all relate to, students must adhere to the school's dress code.
Oh, definitely. Next up, a word that describes location. Adjacent, an adjective.
Okay, adjacent. That means like next to or bordering.
Exactly.
Right. So for example, the parking lot is adjacent to the shopping mall. Or thinking about geography. The 2 countries share an adjacent border. And in a more personal context, my apartment is conveniently located adjacent to a beautiful park.
Nicely illustrated. Time to make some changes with the verb adjust.
Adjust.
Yes.
So that means to like make a small change to improve something.
Yes. Yeah.
We do this all the time, like please adjust the thermostat. It's a bit chilly in here. Or thinking about lifestyle. It took me a while to adjust to my new work schedule.
Yeah.
And in a problem-solving situation, we need to adjust our strategy to achieve better results.
And of course, we have adjustment, the noun form.
Oh, okay. So that's like the act of making a change.
Exactly.
Right. So we could have, the mechanic made some adjustments to the car's engine. Or in a social context, cultural adjustment can be challenging for immigrants.
Yes.
And something we can all relate to. Daylight saving time always requires a slight adjustment to my sleep schedule.
Oh, tell me about it. Speaking of adjusting, let's move on to the verb administer, which means to manage or control something.
Okay, administer.
Yeah.
So this often comes up in a medical context, like the doctor administered the vaccine to the patient.
Exactly.
Or thinking of organizations, the government administers various social programs. And back in school, like the teacher administered the final exam at the end of the semester.
And then we have the adjective administrative, referring to tasks related to managing an organization.
Right. Okay, like administrative duties could be quite tedious.
Yes.
Or describing a role, she worked as an administrative assistant before becoming a manager.
Mm-hmm.
And highlighting the importance. Strong administrative skills are essential for success in any business.
And of course, the person who handles those tasks is the administrator, a noun.
Right, exactly. So like the school administrator addressed the concerns of parents at the meeting.
Yes.
Or in a company, the system administrator ensures the smooth operation of the computer network. And more broadly, a responsible administrator makes decisions that benefit the entire organization.
Very well put. Now let's talk about admission, a noun.
Admission.
Yeah, it has a couple of different meanings.
Right, so it can refer to being allowed entry.
Yeah.
Like, admission to the concert is by ticket only.
Mm-hmm.
Or, in a medical context, the patient's admission to the hospital was expedited due to the severity of their condition.
Yeah.
And then there's the meaning of confession, like the defendant's admission of guilt led to a reduced sentence.
Those are all great examples. Now on to a specific age group. Adolescent, a noun.
Adolescent.
Yeah.
So that refers to a young person going through puberty.
Exactly.
Right, so typically between the ages of 13 and 19.
Yeah.
So we could say adolescence is a time of significant physical and emotional changes.
For sure.
Or talking about literature. The novel captured the angst and confusion of the adolescent experience.
Yeah.
And then to bring it to everyday life, the group of adolescents gathered at the mall after school.
It's a fascinating stage of development. Moving on to adoption, a noun.
Okay. Adoption.
Referring to the legal process of taking another person's child into your family.
Right. Such a heartwarming word.
It is.
And often with beautiful stories behind it.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, for example.
Mm.
The couple decided on adoption after years of infertility struggles.
Mm-hmm.
Or broadening the scope. International adoption has become increasingly common in recent years.
Yeah.
And then focusing on the child. The adoption gave the child a loving home and a chance at a brighter future.
Absolutely. Now, shifting gears a bit, we have adverse, an adjective meaning negative or harmful.
Okay, adverse.
Yeah.
So it's often used to describe undesirable effects.
It is.
Right. Like the new medication had some adverse side effects, including nausea and dizziness.
Mm-hmm.
Or in a business context, the company's profits were adversely affected by the recession.
Yes.
And one more, the hikers had to turn back due to adverse weather conditions.
Great examples. Now, here's a word that can function as both a noun and a verb. Advocate.
Ooh, interesting. Advocate.
Okay, so as a noun, an advocate is someone who supports or speaks up for something.
Right. Okay, got it.
Yeah.
So we could have she's a passionate advocate for environmental protection.
Mm-hmm.
Or focusing on a profession, he worked as a legal advocate for low-income families.
Yeah.
And in a community setting, the organization serves as an advocate for children's rights.
And as a verb, to advocate means to publicly recommend or support a particular cause or action.
Oh, okay. So two different ways to use this.
Exactly.
Got it. So we could say the doctor advocated for preventative health care measures.
Yes.
Or in a political context, the senator advocated for increased funding for education.
Mm.
And in a more personal situation, I always advocate for open communication and relationships.
Excellent. Let's shift gears to a word that's loved by artists and designers. Aesthetic. An adjective.
Ooh, aesthetic.
It relates to beauty or artistic tastes.
Okay, for example, the architect designed the building with a minimalist aesthetic.
Yeah.
Or, talking about personal style, her clothing choices reflected a bohemian aesthetic.
Mm-hmm.
And one more. The photographer had a keen eye for capturing the aesthetic qualities of light and shadow.
Ooh, I like that. Those examples really capture the essence of the word. Now, how about affection, a noun?
Affection.
Meaning a feeling of fondness or love.
Right. Affection is all about, like, warmth and care.
It is.
Yeah. So, for instance, parents often show affection for their children through hugs and kisses.
Oh.
Or in a romantic context, the couple express their affection for each other with small gestures of kindness. And between friends, their years of friendship were marked by mutual respect and affection.
Those examples are heartwarming. Now let's talk about a word that's always music to our ears. Affordable, an adjective.
Oh, yeah. Who doesn't love affordable things? So that means like reasonably priced.
Yes.
And within one's budget.
Exactly.
Yeah. So like the restaurant offers delicious meals at affordable prices. Or, talking about housing, finding affordable housing in major cities is becoming increasingly difficult.
Oh, for sure.
And for students, like the university bookstore offered a selection of affordable textbooks.
Great examples. And finally, we arrive at aftermath, a noun.
Aftermath.
That captures the consequences of a significant event.
Right. Aftermath always has that sense of impact.
It does.
Yeah. So, for example, the aftermath of the earthquake left the city in ruins. Or on a personal level, in the aftermath of the breakup, she felt lost and confused.
Yeah.
And one more. The aftermath of the scandal led to significant political reforms.
Those are powerful examples. You've now explored 30 words that have the potential to, really enrich your communication and your understanding.
Absolutely, but this is just the beginning.
It is.
Yeah. So pick a few of these words that really resonated with you. Use them in your writing, your conversations. Really make them your own.
Exactly. The more you use them, the more they'll just become second nature. And keep diving deeper into the nuances of English vocabulary, and you'll find your fluency soaring.
You've got this. Language learning is a journey, and every step you take brings you closer to fluency.
That's right.
Yeah. So keep exploring, and most importantly, have fun with it.
Have fun.
All right, that's it for today's deep dive. We'll catch you next time.
See you then.
Bye.
Bye.